Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to tonight's edition of Business of Black Beauty. I am your host, Stefanetta Isis Harmon. And again, I am so glad to continue introducing you to Black women and men who are creating their own seats and tables in the beauty industry. Now, tonight, I'm going to expand the conversation even further to talk about building generational wealth as individuals, entrepreneurs, and brand owners. So I want to introduce you to the amazing Kenya McKnight-Ahad. How are you doing, Mama?
I am well, Queen. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. For those who do not know, she is founder of Black Women's Wealth Alliance. She's an award-winning thought leader and change maker whose alliance is basically, first of all, it's the first one in Minnesota that's formed as a Black woman-owned public benefit organization, which she can explain in a little bit. And she has been doing the groundwork for the past 7+ years to basically help Black women achieve wealth literacy, not by focusing not on just how we spend money, but how we leverage it in everyday lives. Did I get that right, folks?
You got that right. Right. There's a lot of ways to say it, and that was great.
That was one of them. That's awesome. So, if you are tuned in right now, I say get your questions ready. This thought leader is amazing in the work that she's doing related to Black women and wealth building, and we're going to just get into it. I guess my first thing, Kenya, is tell us just a little bit, because we could have a whole book on just your backstory, but a little bit about who you are and what inspired you to launch the Black Women's Wealth Alliance.
Yeah. So oh my gosh, I'm approaching middle age. So I'm a Black woman entrepreneur. Born in Kankakee, Illinois, and I grew up in Minneapolis, Minnesota, for the past like 38 years. I've worked a lot in community over the past 20 years in different ways as a teacher, as an activist, organizer, advocate, appointed policy official, a range of different roles I've played. And in that, I've worked in economic development for maybe 10 years in transportation and a few other areas of business planning projects. And really, I just saw that there's a huge gap between how economic development and wealth building worked in the Black community versus what
Mm-hmm.
that looks like in government and, in white communities. And it's almost like we're at a 10,000 feet level and they're playing at a 70, 80,000 feet. And in my work in transportation, I got to see that there were some tremendous gaps and how and strategies around, how to create, um, you know, long-term revenue streams that afford people to build wealth, relationships. I got to see the gaps in social capital, how businesses actually grew, the financing, all the other typical things. But there's something very interesting about procurement between government, corporations, small businesses, that really is a big ticket to wealth building.
A lot of folks don't know what procurement means. So can you just kind of share that word?
Yes,
Explain
ma'am.
that.
Yep,
Yes.
yep, 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 yep. Basically, doing business with the government, doing business with government, doing business with corporations, doing business with nonprofits. It's just contracting, to provide services. Providing them with services and products that they purchase. So it's the diversity supply chain, or the supply chain. So they all have budgets where they spend money for different products. They're not going to create everything. So from tissue to speakers to folks helping them plan events to, the janitorial to a range of different things. And they buy services from businesses.
And body
And
butters.
huh,
And body
huh,
butters.
and body butters. I mean, there's a range of things that they
Mhm.
purchase. And so the issue is that, we want to make sure we're part of that supply chain, to, access some of the money. And sometimes their contracts are 5 years, 3 years, 4 years. But just imagine if you had a, $20 million contract, for 3 years, you just secure
Right.
some things for you, not only your company, but your life. And so these are the kind of deals that are happening. And it's about like, how do we access that build businesses. So anyways, I know we'll get into that later around wealth, but these are some of the things. And I think the thing that struck me the most is I sat on this board called the Transportation Advisory Board, which, by the way, the first African American to ever serve in that role. And
Oh,
the
wow.
board is like older than me, right? So, and we governed $900 million biannually, to, give out in transportation projects across the whole region. And what struck me is there was this company of three people who we hired to evaluate our board, the programs, everything that the board had been doing. So it was a 1 year contract and it was for $1 million.
Just to
And I thought to
evaluate
myself,
you.
just to evaluate our board. And I thought to myself, I mean, I know five Black women who would, even three, you think about it, $1 million. The project cost maybe 100,000, 150. The rest is profit, they get split, and I'm thinking, man, five of them, that's 200 grand each, or at least 150 each for 1 year. That's significant. So these are the
For
kind of
one
opportunities.
client.
One client, one client that had three employees. And so I thought, no, I'm in the wrong business. We need to get in. And I'm seeing this, and we giving out all this money for different things, and we sitting here cutting each other up in the community over 20,000, over 100,000. It's nothing for us to give out millions of dollars on this board. So it's a whole different dynamic happening, and that just kind of, it's not what made me create the Black Women's Wealth Alliance. That's a different story for time I spent at Policy League. And part of my mission purpose work, like it's been this for me the whole time. I just have not focused on it. So there are things that got me closer to it, but that $1 million contract definitely opened my eyes to the notion of poverty pimping, that term we use. And I'm thinking we're calling people poverty pimps for getting $100,000 grants, 200,000. This ain't nothing compared to what it's really being given out at a whole nother level that we don't even know about, some of us.
And
So
that's what you're
anyways,
doing with the Black Women's Wealth Alliance. So you're putting women in the space to not even just access that, but to even be educated on how to access it.
absolutely. Building knowledge, skills, social capital, and direct capacity to engage and build strategies, to understand and how to go get that, for sure.
Mm. No, that's deep because when we talk about Black women, especially in beauty, because that's what I focus on. But
Sure.
we know that we are the influencers, right? We outspend everybody in beauty. We
50 billion a year.
1 point, look, but let's talk 1.3 trillion, 1.5 trillion, whoever you talk to annually. We influence all of our house buying decisions. We outspend on beauty products, but we're the least funded, like 0.0000 something percent. Only 93 Black women last year got any investments over $1 million in beauty. Think about that. You just said that there's $1 million for someone just to evaluate someone giving out 900 million,
Yeah.
and we can't get 1 million to launch things that we know we're spending on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But we can flip the game. Of course,
Yes.
it takes a lot of work, which is why we focus, part of our work, we have four different parts that we do, and we're building a fifth. So we're actually in the process of purchasing a building right now that will be dedicated to Black women entrepreneurs in the beauty and wellness industry,
Oh, wow.
as they don't, that particular Black woman entrepreneur business owner don't really have the same platforms as women in other parts of the beauty in terms of the hair. I mean, there's a platform for that.
Mhm.
There's in the platform for makeup artists, for those who are making natural products and those sort of things. So we're definitely creating that. But it's interesting because Black women do control nearly 60% of the Black dollar, and are the financial influencers of the Black community. So poverty really doesn't make sense to me.
Mhm.
But I think it says a lot about kind of where we are, what we've been through, and how we've been kind of beat into this space of consumerism,
Mm.
through hundreds of years of white violence towards Black economics. And so I like to think that we are also struggling from financial trauma,
Mm.
that isn't really talked about, or dealt with, but it needs to be. And I think when we do that, we kind of open up the pathway for Black people to understand it, but also to overcome it. And knowledge is important. So wealth literacy for us is critical because once Black women understand what wealth is, it isn't just buying a house, but what it is, what are the tools that are used to build it, and the strategies to, use to, maintain and expand it. We go. We just need to know, like, what is it? How do I access it? What is the pathway? And I think that we can flip things if more Black women are educated about, even our own spending power. We're not really aware. We get criticized for it, but not in a way to educate us, but in a way to shoot at us,
To
right?
shame us. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that doesn't work. She's just like, whatever, I'm going to look good, because beauty is the Black economy that we have. It is the Black market. And so that's Black women.
It's
So
our therapist. Let's be
yeah, it's our life. We got to look good. I mean, I had to go bump a couple girls before I got on here. It's
but
what
it's
it
also
is.
something that we use as I say it's therapy because when you go to the salon, that's who your hairstylist is your therapist. Like you get a boost. So psychologically, when you leave there, it makes us feel good. It helps us be presented in the world because we're taught that we're not good enough. So the only thing that we do have control over is our bodies.
Yeah.
So it is
Now,
part of that. Yeah. So
now we have control over it to a degree.
to a
Yeah.
degree, right? They still
Yeah.
got laws on us. We still got laws, right?
We're
But
highly sexualized. Yeah.
you said there were four areas that you focus on. Can you break those down and how we move forward in them? Yeah.
Yeah, I need to do a disclaimer first so I don't get highly hit up. We are in reconstruction mode right now. So
Mhm.
we reopen the end of May. So our website is being redone, our program services. We got new folks we're onboarding right now. So
Nice.
COVID was wonderful for us. In many ways, but it was also, it doubled, tripled our work as we operated as a resource hub for Black businesses and workers impacted,
Mhm.
assisting them with a lot of things. So we're just recuperating. So I just want to make sure folks know that they start reaching out and it's like they're not responding. Like,
Mm-mm, not yet.
not yet, but coming. But the work that we do, we've done a lot over the years, but we're more formal and structured now. So we have a wealth education program training called Queenomics.
Okay.
It's a 5 week cultural wealth building that's specific to Black women, to what we call historical Black women, that deals with the history of Black economics in this country, the financial character of Black women, collective and individual financial trauma, wealth building 101, and then which is retirement planning, savings, all of that as well, insurance, which is huge, and IRAs, and all that, and then retirement planning is where the Queenomics is. That's the final session, and after that, our goal is to get Black women connected to financial planners through a partnership we have, and are expanding with Thrive It Financial. So a straight pathway to really laying out your legacy, your wealth,
Mm,
vision for your family, yourself. That's foundational for us. You really can't rock with us if you don't understand that,
right.
because that's what it is for us, whether you're a business owner or an employee. And it isn't just about buying a house for us. That's one tool that's important, but there are several others, and everybody doesn't want to buy a house. So we want us to diversify our wealth knowledge and strategies, because in 2008, we lost the largest percentage of Black wealth in that foreclosure, that
Mhm.
epidemic. And part of that also is that we didn't diversify the types of wealth we had. Most of it was just in home ownership. And so we've got to diversify it this time around. Business, we just launched a new initiative called Resist and Thrive 2035, which is a 15-year commitment to working with 750 Black women entrepreneurs,
Nice.
50 per year. And our goal is to increase Black wealth by 30% by working with these entrepreneurs over 5 key strategies, to help them scale, their businesses, increase revenue, In this initiative, we also have a loan fund. So we already had a grant fund,
Right.
and we just expanded that to include loans. And so we can do direct financing of Black women entrepreneurs now through this fund.
Oh,
So
wow.
we're excited about that. We're still building a lot of partnerships around it. It's a 12-month fellowship program for the 50 women that are chosen each year. The goal is to invest 50,000 into each woman by the end of the year, after she's completed the 5 key strategy areas that we're excited about. So more to come on that.
Okay.
Um, Professional development. We do a monthly series. We'll restart it up in June called Ms. MZ CEO. And that is about developing not only workforce talent, but just executive leadership and strategies. So that is a series for Black women entrepreneurs, corporate leaders, nonprofit leaders, government leaders.
Yes.
Come and share executive leadership skills and strategies to help other Black women navigate, but also, most of all, increase their value proposition. It's all about that for us. And so, but we recognize we've got to share with each other about ways in which to do that. Um, and finally, it is the fund. We have the grant fund that we invest directly into women's capacity to
Mhm.
implement their goals. And our grants, do go up to 2,500. It's a smaller
The microgrants.
amount.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're micro. We have our own fund now, but we also work in partnership with other funds where we can recommend folks for, programs we're connected to. So those
Mm.
are the 4 key things. And then now we're launching out to really leverage a lot of space for Black women to have spaces to work out of. So we have some partnerships with some co-working spaces. We have 2 offices. We're on Lake Street and West Broadway now. And then we're
And that's in
buying
Minneapolis, Minnesota. Yes,
sorry,
yes,
Minneapolis,
yes.
Minnesota. I'm sorry. We're coming nationally. We're trying. We're really working on it.
You got
Because
somebody here who'll help you in
yes,
Texas.
sorry. Yeah. Well,
Yes.
for Queenomics, we piloted last year, and we had women from Ohio, Texas, DC, and Illinois in the program. It was virtual. So
Yes.
we definitely have every intention to become a national company. I'm not a nonprofit. I own the company. We're a public benefit corporation. As you were saying, the first Black woman owned in the state of Minnesota. All it is a hybrid between a non and for profit, but it allows me to lead my work with social impact instead of profit, to really care about the area of work that I do, the people in it, and the community that we're around or identified. And in this case, it is the entire Black community by leveraging the strength, power, and opportunity that Black women have to really increase our economic trajectory as a nation.
Just wanted to highlight this comment real quick because this is real work that you're doing right
Oh,
now.
Rika. Hey, Rika.
Yes. There's someone who said they received a micro grant, got a sewing machine, and now have their own clothing line. And you have a lot of these small stories of someone was just a few dollars short of achieving their dream,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. $740,000 worth of grants we've given out,
Yes, yes.
and up until 2020. And then this year we're already at 72,000 of issuing out.
That's
So we
beautiful.
try, it's all about the dollar over community. That's what
So
I want to.
talk about that. Let's talk about that now. This dollar over community. These women who are we enough and too much.
Well, the thing is she make too much to qualify for most of the free things, but hadn't made enough to really be out there on her own, like without needing support. She doesn't have a
Yeah.
resource. She is the resource. She might be the matriarch of her family. She might be the first to do this, do that. And she doesn't have all the relationships or networks. She's got the drive, she's got the energy, she's gotten herself to this point, but she doesn't have the connections to help her fill the gaps. And so we aim to specifically be a resource for her, because she's going to move the dime in her family, and our
Mm.
investment in her is everything. So she is the dollar over. She makes the dollar over, what's allowed to receive real support.
Mm. Now that's even though you are a state wide company right now, the things that you're talking about impact us nationally. This whole aspect
Absolutely.
of being a dollar over. And I know when you started, let's be clear, Black women weren't, it wasn't cute to try to bring and make Black women visible or wealthy or to talk about how to provide resources. You know,
Uh,
2014 was a whole different
they
conversation.
brought the heat to me. I was divisive. I was crazy. I wasn't qualified. Like, who was I? I mean, it was a lot of drama.
Now,
Um,
now we got a pandemic. We have civil unrest, and now there it's like corporations are throwing money, quote unquote, at Black women. Do you see it really impacting? How do you see this change narrative about how we talk to Black women?
corporations are throwing money at people of color. It's missing Black folks by far. Let me say that.
Mhm.
Everybody cashing in on these checks except for us. The only people who were bold enough to be very specific and directly working with us to guide and lead it that I'm aware of in a real public way that isn't about who works at their company, but who's in the community
Yeah.
is the Goldman and Sachs. They just committed $10 billion to Black women.
Mhm.
Black women are leading that. Black women are in charge of that. Black women help create that. And Black women are engaging other Black women around that. Other institutions. And first of all, let me say that they're not just focused on nonprofits. So that's the other thing with the other money that's out here is people of color and nonprofit. George was a Black man. So, a historical Black man at that. So I would say that um, it is missing our communities by far because they're not specifying, and they're limiting it by working with just nonprofits. So that means people like me don't get access to that. All those millions of dollars, I'd be lucky if I get some, which I did make our first million last year, but that was a lot of hustle and bustle and contracts and some grants that I had to give out over 400,000 of the money we received last year. So it wasn't like, and then you think about it, the work I do, a million is really not a lot. That's like salary for 4 or 5 people. So it's not a lot. So
Right.
companies like mine who might do more work than some of these other agencies, I'll get less because I'm not a nonprofit.
Right.
So I would say that that's how I see the funds being restricted across the board. They're not open to groups, individuals, companies, unless you're a client of theirs. They're trying to the nonprofit. But then if a nonprofit came to me and said, we can get you 50,000, 50,000 doesn't even cover my salary. So, it's
And
not
that's the
enough.
conversation that we're having is we see a lot of, oh, there's a new grant opportunity, but it's $10,000. And you just, by the time it comes in, it's already gone. And they want you to write a report, write the whole, like you saved my life, but all you did was cover a day or a week of
I know,
something.
I know most of the grants I give out, at least 60% of that is going to the household and not the purpose they asked me for. And so I have to accommodate that because I understand. Okay. So I already account for it. Like, okay, you know what? You asked me for 2,000. I might just need to give you three just to ensure that at least 1,500 go to the business or what you're trying to do. I mean, it's just a reality.
Right.
It's not a scheme. It's just, people need real resources. And we lost 41% of our businesses last year. And you
Yeah.
have to know that the impact on Black women is like a tsunami, not because Black men are not important, but because we hold such responsibility economically, financially, and we are the entrepreneurs of this country. So we're striving,
Fastest
but we're not
growing.
supported.
Fastest growing demographic in the country is women, Black women as entrepreneurs, but we're still the least funded and the least visible. So I think that's super important to have that
Absolutely.
conversation. What do you see in the work that you're doing as like the number one challenge that women are coming to you with that you're helping them outside of money? Because we all need some coins, right? But
Yeah.
what's the number
But
one challenge or deficit even? I don't want to say deficit, need. Like
what is the biggest
the
need?
biggest need and biggest challenge.
Um, okay, one, I'll give you, I mean, I have like four, my top four, but
Let's do top
um,
four. Let's be real. Yeah.
wealth literacy, which
What
is
does
the
that mean?
financial. That means that that means that they need to that means first of all we can get to financial literacy.
Right.
Um, Understanding their bottom line. That's really what it means to me. Most people have no idea how much money they need to bring in every month to secure their own household and then take care of their other responsibilities of their business and the things that they want to invest and save in for themselves. Number one, you don't know your bottom line. You don't know what you're striving for, right? So you need to know if you're going to bring, if you maybe you need to bring in $4,000 a month and you only bringing in three, and that's why you keep staying in this cycle, right? So rather than scaling back, I always say scale up. Figure out how to make that money to get that four, and then really the five. But the point is, knowing your bottom line. That's number one. That's the number one thing most women that come in are not clear on. You know, so that's important because if again, those are your eyes. If you don't know what you're shooting for, you'll know what to get.
Okay.
So number one. Two, as business owners, it's usually accounting, right? They need accounting and legal support. That's critical, right, for the women because our personal finances are generally tied to our business finances, and people need, education, not as a matter of being stupid or illiterate. You only know what you know. And this is part of where the strategies are, about, hey, if you're going to spend money at your business, that's fine. Write yourself a check. There's a way you need to do it as a paper trail so that you can have, a way to apply for the PPP. You have a way to look a certain way with the bank. Hey, if you get some money, don't just put it in the bank. You need to make records, just different strategies on finance and business finances and accounting, keeping track. If you're going to use, Cash App and stuff like that, there's a way you need to make sure you document it. So that accounting is critical because it plays a role in your taxes. It plays a role in your lending and your access to different opportunities. So those are two. The other piece is having administrative and communication skills, very critical. In your professional life and as a business owner, you don't have to be the expert, but you do need to know how to send an email. You do need to know how to have a conversation with people. You do need to know how to do an invoice. You do need to know how to fill out an application, right? Those kind of things. You do need to have your files, your documents organized, right? Keep track of your stuff so that you're able to pull it out when you need it. So those are just some critical things that I see. And the last biggest thing is social capital. They don't know enough about who and where. They don't have the relationships, to bridge the gap. So those are the big pieces that I see a lot.
That's important. So, look, she just named four pain points that almost every Black woman entrepreneur, every entrepreneur period that I've met over the past few years has experienced at least one of these. And these are things that we really need to be honest with ourselves when we're talking about building brands and legacies. Is the basic foundation so that we don't fail in 5 years. Because isn't that the normal? The 5 years businesses happen, businesses fail. So
Yeah, I mean, if you can make it to your 2 to 3 year mark, you're probably just really learning your business, your product a little bit, and you're in a good mode of refine. If you can make it through to five, but really,
you got hope.
it depends on your profit and strategy. And I was just in that part and say that one of the biggest things that's dear to my heart is framing. We don't know how to when I talked about communication, we also don't know how to talk about our products, pricing, how to frame things, in such a way that really communicates what it is. And so our strategies, I talk to women, I guarantee you when they come in and talk to me, it's one thing, and they leave, they'll be transformed because we've been, reframed, what they're thinking and their strategies about their business. It's really important because our businesses are often not aligned with the broader market place. And so we've got to not only just target ourselves, but we've got to target the broader economy and marketplace and build businesses along that so that we can tap into that money too.
It's that conversation of what is your why and what problem are you solving? Because you have to be solving something for someone besides yourself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a big distinguishment. Most of the businesses we have are in the social service. And, what it tells me about Black women entrepreneurs is that we are already social impact leaders. We go in business and we start these organizations because we care. We're trying to help solve the ills in our community, which is great. Like that's noble. And that's why I'm doing it too. I think the thing is though, we have to learn how to win first, how to, succeed and make money, because you
Mhm.
can't give back something you don't have, and a lot of us try, and we're not making enough because we're giving it, the needs are really big. So we've got to figure out a way how to take care of ourselves in the process of giving to our community, so that we keep growing, because the better we do, the more we can do for our people, for our community.
What are some immediate things that we can do now as we're sitting in our living rooms and watching this conversation? Like, all right, so she said something that I know I need to work on. What's like the one thing we can do right now to maybe impact our financial situation and impact how we approach our businesses?
Yeah. Number one, know your bottom line. Um, I just, know your bottom line. Somebody taught me that. And I was wondering why I needed to keep borrowing money. This was just like 4 years ago, 4 years ago, why I keep needing to borrow money. And I'm like, I'm doing this consulting work. I'm bringing in $2,500 a month. And, I'm living, right? So I thought, so when I, really did my numbers, I was like, oh, I need to bring in like $3,200 a month, you know, and no
Right.
one I need to borrow a couple dollars here and there, and it ain't no shame. It is what it is. But I didn't know my bottom line. And yeah, you want to cut back where necessary, but I didn't want to cut back because the 3,200 wasn't enough. That was just to pay bills. I didn't want to stay stuck at making enough to pay bills. I want to build wealth. That means I want to invest, get insurance. I want, all these things. And 3,200 wasn't enough to do that. That was just enough to pay all the bills I was responsible for, including my business bills. So
How do you do the bottom line? Is it a spreadsheet? Because I know what you're saying, but I'm telling you, when we get
I
into it,
know.
folks like,
All
wait,
right.
what?
All right. Here we go.
Yes.
101. Okay. What you got to pay at home to not be evicted or foreclosed on? Okay. What bills are you responsible for? So we created some financial tools called B budgeting. All right.
Okay.
So we have a B budget kit, BBEE, Queen B. That's very important to our work. We have a thing called Queen Bee theory. So to check the egos of Black women, because we definitely got a lot of my moxie, which is good, but it got to be checked and appropriated. So your budget, you have to get a handle on your household budget. And that just means like how much do you have to pay for rent? What are the necessary bills like you have to pay? Right?
Like
I
your
ain't saying
life.
your light, your gas, your rent or your mortgage, your insurance, whether it's renter's insurance, if you don't have it, get it, or home buyer insurance, your taxes, your food, household supplies, and even this, don't even get into the necessary. Just what do you spend money on? Let's start at tracking your spending first. What
Right.
you spend money on, like, and don't judge yourself, and don't let nobody else judge you. Add your hair weave, add your smoke, your hookah, your blunts, whatever it is. Everything needs to be added because you need to identify where and how you're spending money. This is a check on the self, right? And then from there, if what you spend money on is cool with you, you need to know how much that's adding up to every month, right? And if that's cool, then you got to bring in that much every month. If you already bringing that in, cool. All right, now look at your business. Same thing. What are the things you're responsible for? This is if you have an office where you pay rent. This is any subscriptions you have. This is for your website, your email, if you have that. This is for any marketing you might do on Facebook, anything else, equipment, supplies, materials, all of that, your logo, whatever you're paying for, have paid for, but are paying for on a reoccurring basis, right? You have your initial cost for something. You may pay 500 to get your website done, but you're gonna
You
pay
got
like
maintenance. Yeah.
$30 a month to keep it going. Okay, so you want to count that 30 more so. So same thing. And then look at that bottom and say, what am I bringing in enough to take care of my business? Because now you got to also look at, so that's what you're bringing in that's what you're responsible for your business, then your household. The most important thing is how much money are you bringing in?
Right. It doesn't add up.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not a criticism. Like this is a checks and balances because you might need to level up. and go hustle and get some more money. But you can't do that. You don't know what you're shooting for, right? So you know what your business expenses are, you know what your household, and now you can start in any order you want. How much money are you bringing in, and where is it coming from, right? And what can you really depend on, right? Like, so if you're doing like hair, if you're doing makeup, and okay, what's the average amount? Because that's going to be based on your clientele. So now let's look at who are your consistent clients, right?
The ones who don't cancel.
Your loyals, right? Because you got the general base. There's always what you can do from your marketing and what you pull in, and that counts, but that counts a little less than what you bringing in for show, right? Or more guaranteed than not, right? So there's that. So you got to know what your revenue streams are and how much. Even if you're on the system or you get a little child support, okay, mark it all down. This is your business. This is not for you to put out to the world unless you want to. So only you need to know this for the most part. And it's cool to have your family with you. Your children, they need to see these things, because the little candy you buy them, all those extra, all of that, subscriptions you have to gyms, to
Netflix.
whatever, all of that, Google Play, all these little everything, write it all down, and you're going to see. You might have more money than you think, one. Two, you'll be able to really and track this, like track it for
3 months.
A good 3 months will show you really how you spend money. You be the judge and decide if you're doing the right thing. And now that's not my job. My job is to help you understand what your bottom line is, how much your lifestyle costs, and what kind of money you bringing in to pay for it. You have to decide if it's too much or not enough. And in my case, it wasn't enough, and so because of that, I had to level up. And that contract, it wasn't renewed for $2,500 a month. It was renewed for like $3,500 a month. Okay. And that's what was needed. If they wanted my services, that's what it was, because I had to add it up. And I had to find another contract, opportunity for myself, because I could not live in poverty the way I was trying to build this institution, being broke and, things like that. So you got to just keep going at it. But you do have to know your bottom line. That's number one, whether you work a job or a business. Two, you need to look at what assets you currently have. Insurance is number one. Most Black people are paying $50, $60 a month, $100 for an insurance policy of $15,000, $10,000, $20,000. What I want to tell you is this: the average funeral cost is $10,000 to $15,000. You don't get insurance just to pay to cover your funeral expense. You get insurance as an asset to leave something behind. You can get a policy for $56,000, $60,000, given your health, for $250,000 in its value. And when your children, you got 4 children or something, $250,000, you get your funeral covered, plus there's money left over for your children. That's one of the greatest wealth tools you'll come across, because you don't want to leave them having to do a GoFundMe for you. You don't want to leave them having to, ask the county or somebody to pay for you. No, you want them to bury you in dignity, but also leave them with enough to take care of themselves. So your insurance policy matters. We need to stop. We need to really look at that. And know that a $20,000 policy is not sufficient. Okay. I got a session coming up on that next month.
Let's see. Then reach out, please, so then I can share it with.
Oh, my bad. I'm just going.
No, it's cool. But this is what we want, though. Like, this is the conversation that we're not having. When we're talking about business, like, I know it's for Black beauty, right? But it's entrepreneurship in general. And these are the things, as Black beauty is primarily run by women,
Yes.
primarily moved by women, and now we're coming into more ownership roles. We need to understand all of these aspects.
And you can get this right at your local bank. You don't have a business bank account, get one, please. That's important. And get a business bank account. But your banks have access to all these things. And the last thing I'll say about that, because there's a lot to say, is for business owners, get you an IRA Roth account. All right.
Yes.
Start building a retirement plan and start from where you at. I started with just doing $50 a month. And the women was like, do this, do the 200. And I'm like, nah, because I mean, I had 200 to pay every month, so I'm not gonna, so I'm not right now. What was important for me was to build the habit of my
Yes.
consistency of paying $50 a month. And I fell off a couple times with that 50 and I restarted. And now just in, a couple years, I have over 5,000, in savings, for my retirement. It's not a lot, but I'm starting.
You're
Some not
starting
never even.
somewhere.
Get you a Roth account, an IRA account. You can choose if you want a Roth or not, but get you one so that you can start investing in your retirement savings, because there's no retirement plan for
So
entrepreneurs unless you create it for yourself or business owners.
3 things she just spit for y'all right now. She talked about your bottom line and setting that budget and seeing what you're bringing in and out every month. She talked about insurance for wealth building, right? Insurance for being able to leave a legacy, something for your children, so there is no GoFundMe for you just when you pass away. And then also the idea of your Roth IRA for your own retirement, because we don't want to work till we're 80. Let's be clear. We don't want to work till we're 80. We want to, I mean, if we do, it's because we just want to work, not because
Right.
we needed to live. Right. And so those are key things. And I'm going to drop into these comments. Thank you, Felicia, because she's coming through right now.
Oh, Felicia's on here. I
Yes,
can't see the
yes.
comments.
Oh, it's on the
Hey.
side. It's on the
Oh,
side in the
oh,
right.
oh, sorry.
So let me
There we
go through
go.
one. Like, how does an entrepreneur know when they've gone from hobby to hustle to a sustainable business? Like, how do you
Oh,
know when you level up? Like, yo, I make stuff to I sell stuff to I got a legit business.
yeah, when you start paying your own paycheck. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. No, no, Miss CEO, part of that is also like the cost to be the boss, right?
Yeah.
But I think there's a difference between all business owners hustle, but not all
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs are business owners, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so you can have a register. First of all, 97% of Black women entrepreneurs are sole proprietors.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that our businesses might be registered with the state, but we're individuals. And so we're independent contractors. We're not employees of our own company, and so it's really, we really need to shift and become employees of our own companies. Go ahead and pay those taxes. I know it's, but it's easy to say. I know it's harder to do because the money up front, but you should be on your own payroll,
Mm-hmm.
right? On your own payroll, writing yourself a check, right?
A
That's
lot
a
of folks
boss.
lost money because during this whole pandemic, because we're all LLCs and didn't have the ability to do that the first go round because we
Yeah,
weren't paying ourselves, right?
so building a real company is, to me, is, now you have an address, a location, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a tax ID, EIN, right? You have a product, you have employees, and you're one of your own employees. I work for my company. I'm an employee of the Black Women's Wealth Alliance. Not only am I the client, I'm the president and the client, but I also am an employee. So I get a check from the Black Women's Wealth Alliance. Now, after the sweat
Yes.
equity, because you got to put in your work, for sure. But you become an employee of your company and pay those taxes on it. You'll get the benefit as a business through other ways through your tax, but it's worth it. And so, to me, make that shift and then begin to bring people in. Whether you do interns, volunteers, to help build your company. You have, yes, a website, but you have a service and you have a service model and you have people in there, working and helping you. You're growing. That's, to me, when you start building out the infrastructure, the inside, you have HR, right? You have a human resource process. You have an administrative process. You have communication systems. Now you're building out a company. So you're moving into a phase of building a business,
Mm-hmm.
opposed to just, I'm showing up at the event to vend, blah, blah, blah. Well, when you start building a company, somebody else is showing up to vend for you. You might be showing up to speak. You will show up, but it be because you choose to, because you got people now to help support you, because it's hard doing it all on your own, as an entrepreneur. So you got to start getting help.
So
So
business
that's,
is like when it gets bigger than you.
it has to always be
It gets
bigger than
bigger
you,
than you. Yes.
and the thing is, I'm brilliant to a degree. Sometimes I'm just, straight ratchet. It just depends on the day. But the thing is, you know, the Black Women's Wealth Alliance is only as successful as the women who show up. If
Yes,
Black women
yes,
don't show
yes.
up, then there's no need for us to exist. And I can't think about the Black Women's Wealth Alliance from just my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I am greatly advised and informed by the women we serve. I read the surveys, I read them. I read the feedback, and that's what informed me. So as a business owner, we like to use the boss. I'm a, you know, what I'm saying I get it, but if you ain't paying those paychecks, who you bossing? And the other thing is that your client is your boss, right?
All
It's
day.
about customer service all day.
That's the hardest part for folks to understand is when you become an entrepreneur that everybody that hires you is your boss. And some of them think you're on call and you have to set those
Well, let the church say amen.
right. Woo!
There are lines. I have to let them know
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that that I'm not a social service agency. I'm not required to give you the things you think. I'm happy to support you, but you've got to pull your weight to a certain degree, and
Mm-hmm.
I have the right to discern who we support. So if I know for sure, I'm not trying to give you and your guy no money. Like I'm really trying to help other sisters who are doing something.
Mm.
So your application indicates to me you don't have a job, you don't have, anything. You're just, I can give you maybe a couple hundred, but I can't give you a couple thousand. Rika might need that.
Right? Right? Because she needs to level up. She needs two sewing machines.
She got a clothing line. She trying to buy some inventory.
Right?
I need to preserve that for Rika.
But that's important to know when we're building our brands and our businesses to know who our clients are and to not be afraid to turn people away in terms because all money ain't good money, right?
You have to have a standard. You have to have a
Hmm.
standard and a motto, and you're gonna fail. I have failed a lot, and I'm still figuring things out. I mean, I've been, so inconsistent at times. Like we're only just now at a place where we can actually hire staff and really build, our capacity in a real way to show up, consistently where people know when, how to access us. And, everything else has been sporadic. I put my own money into it. I've had to work when I can, hustle on the side. And, while trying to build this, I've had to fight through a lot of things because it wasn't popular to be Black. I'm not a nonprofit. If I turn into a nonprofit tomorrow, I guarantee you by the end of the year, I have about $10 million, and so I'm like, girl, turn into a nonprofit. Like, no, my goal is to model what I'm talking about. I'm building my wealth as a Black woman. And I think that more for-profit leaders like myself need to stand in the ranks and help because Black people have always been,
Yeah.
go-getters and have economic aspirations. And we need to just keep putting that out there. And I think that we can make a profit while still investing and caring for our people. So, I'm just but you do have to have a standard. I've had to slay more Black women in the process of helping others. There's no doubt about it because women,
Mm.
we this is why our queen bee theory is important because here's the deal. I know I'm an alpha female and I ain't always the nicest. Sometimes you just gotta, it is what it is, but I'm definitely fair and I'm just, right? And I'm principled. You have to be. But I'm the queen bee of my world, as you are yours. So I'm never going to accept being beneath to anyone, as you should not either. So our queen bee theory, is about every Black woman respecting each other from where we are in life. It doesn't matter if she got holes in her shoes. It doesn't matter if she got red bottoms on. The reality is this: don't no woman run your household but you. So that makes you the queen of your own world, no matter where you are in life. And it's our job to respect that. And you
Mm.
can't build collaboration if respect isn't mutual between people. We can like each other's ideas, but if we don't respect each other,
You can't get
right?
nothing done,
We
right?
can't build. We can't build. And the thing is, there's more than one queen bee. You understand? Because it is more than one hive. And maybe this ain't the hive you need to be a part of. I'm cool with that too. But you ain't gonna come in here and run it. You just go build your own hive,
That's what's up. So let's
right?
go get into another piece that we're talking about. First of all, we got Black women uplifting Black women, right? And you're helping
Yes.
other Black women build wealth. First of all, that's groundbreaking in and of itself. Before it was popular, and now you're doing this, and now you're creating these spaces. So I'm going to get to this question Felicia has, right? For us to be able to get into this room together as queen bees. So how do we find those spaces where we can be ourselves and still lift each other up and not worry about our intellectual property being stolen or being, abdicated to something else or given to somebody else.
Let me well, oh man, I had this problem a lot. But here's the thing, it takes a lot. I am not gonna lie, I'm not tell you like I'm so perfect. Listen, I come from these neighborhoods, okay? So when I first came out here, I was talking about stealing on people, slapping. I mean, it's a process learning how to be out here in this because I didn't have the language. Where I come from, we don't talk. It's just we at you. So all the time. And I got a whole bunch of people I know who ain't got no problem following up on accountability. But the thing is, that's not how you can't, so you have to learn, and it's not easy, when it's not your norm. So it's been a journey. And I would say that what I had to learn also is as an innovator, I'm innovative. So I'm pregnant with ideas a lot. But, I've had to be okay with other people, just running off with things and just said, the point is you wanted it to happen, right? All right, so it's happening. And the other thing is keep your business to yourself, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's just what it is. Some of us are authentic, other people replicate. Right. And as an innovator, you've got to be okay with replication. Like we build models out here. I'm totally cool with if somebody come up with the Black Wealth Alliance, we gonna have a different situation. It's copywritten. Everything is, that I have is, believe me, it's protected. I got some dope attorneys. We will holler at you. Don't steal my work. If you're gonna talk about it, give me credit and props. For what we do. I've had folks like, so you mean to tell me you did research that outlined every single thing I do? You just came to that out the blue. Because I pulled this out of 20 years of my life.
Right.
And you just so happen to research every single thing. Right. My attorney will be hollering at you. So I think, to a degree, it is what it is. You're going to get hit. You're going to get snaked. It's just what it is because everybody's not comfortable in their own skin. Everybody doesn't have the confidence, the fortitude, or, know how to stand in their own light. And you just got to keep going because even if they steal it, they can never do it the way that you intended to. Keep going. Stay rooted and grounded and focused. I mean, it's just what it is. I've had many replications of Kenya, literally.
But they're not you.
They missing everything but the hood in me, but the thing is, and the authenticity. So just you can't stop it. Focus on what you can control, and you can control who and what you share. The spaces, that we have to create them. I know I'm trying to do what I can. That comes out in May. We have 4 different spaces now for Black women to just kind of go chill, but just create your own. And I always say you don't need permission to do the right thing or to do what you want to do. Just go do it. Make it work. I started with 20 women, and we started meeting at McDonald's on West Broadway in Minneapolis. They wanted to meet every week. I was like, oh my gosh. But, we did it every week for 6 months. I was like, I just called y'all to one meeting. And they was just like, no, let's keep talking. And we did. And this is what we ended up creating as a result.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So folks who are wondering how to find Kenya, right? It's Black Women's Wealth Alliance. Here's her website is bwwa-us.com. She is under construction right now, but she is still in construction mode for everybody else.
So we come out next month, y'all. Yes. Sorry.
No, don't apologize, because I knew that this was a conversation that needed to be had, because I know you're based in Minnesota, but you're doing national work, and you're a thought leader on a national and international scale.
Please join us. If you're national, when you see, join on. I won't turn you away, not at all. And, just, I'll be quiet. My heart getting away, and then it'd be a whole nother situation.
No, it's all good. And this is when we talked the last time, I'm like, yo, I love Kenya. We need to talk again and again and again in any way that we can share the work that you're doing, because you're dropping real seeds and gems for folks who are on this place where I know I'm a brand owner. I know I have something, but I don't know how. I'm missing something else, and they don't know what they're missing. It's not just funds. Sometimes it's just the education. Sometimes it's that social capital, where to go. I had someone call me a couple of days ago to ask me, I'm not from Texas. to ask me about how do they become like a minority minority woman Black
Certified?
enterprise.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
certified, the certification here. And I'm like, I know how to do it in New York and how to do it in Minnesota. But let me Google that for you. You know?
Yeah,
But
totally. And the information. That's the biggest deficit we have, information.
it's access. And then I was like, yep, this is what we need. And we need central places wherever we are to find that information. So I thought that was very
Absolutely.
important. I'm
We
going
will build a
through,
national brand. We will build ourselves, national. But
yeah,
there are dope Black women. Make us accountable.
yes.
Ask us questions. Go to those Black women. CEOs and other folks. Felicia Perry's on here too. She's the executive director of West Broadway Business and Area Coalition. I mean, make us. We are part of your social capital. And here's the thing: build relationships. They're everything. And
Hmm.
sometimes it just starts with interviewing a person, and you never know who is listening, who's in the room, but stay grounded, because my work is also my purpose work. So I'm very much, my values and who I am is very much a part of my work. I'm not, it's not disconnected. So this isn't a transaction or a product to me. This is my life. And I
Hmm.
care about Black women. I will slay Black women if I have to, but I am definitely infatuated with helping us build economic prosperity. I don't have time always to lace people up. So I might move fast, I might move funny to you, but I love you. I just stay out of my way. I'm gonna stay out of yours, but I'm gonna help you along the way,
Hmm.
as we should help each other. But don't be a hindrance. Be an asset to each other. Be gentle.
Yes, yes, yes.
Sorry, that was a little.
No, this is what we needed, and it's the perfect way to close out for tonight, too. I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for this conversation. I thought it was going to be a half hour, and I'm like, we can't. We got to
Oh,
keep this going. I don't try to take too much of your folks' time because I know you're busy, right?
yeah, I
but
am.
but this was such a good conversation that
But
we
this
were
is
able
part
to
of my
really,
work. So I'm here. Thank you for
yes.
inviting me. So I'm busy, but I gotta be busy doing this too. So thank you for even inviting me.
Thank you so much. Again, everyone, Kenya McKnight-Ahad. She is the founder and president of the Black Women's Wealth Alliance. I always want to call it the Health Alliance because in my mind, health is wealth.
There is a Black Women's Health Alliance though that does exist.
Oh wow, I'm sorry. Well, no, what we do in Black Women's Wealth Alliance all day long, Black Women's Wealth Alliance, she's building wealth literacy, teaching us how to turn the money that we spend into how we can leverage that money into generational wealth. And that's key because we have the coins. How do we make it so that they become so they go beyond us and they help us leave our legacies? Again, thank you everyone. I am Stefanetta Isis
Yeah.
Harmon, and this is the business of Black Beauty, and you guys are all amazing. Thank you.